So, the other day, I found myself talking to a woman, as I usually do. And through the course of our conversation, she mentioned that, she had a rather tough time trusting men because of what some other guys did in her past. Now, this is a common sentiment I have come across numerous times in my efforts to find a person of the opposite sex of which to form a meaningful long-term relationship with. Happens quite a bit where I'll be talking to her and all of a sudden, somewhere along the conversation, she will bring up some guy, whoever he was or whoever he is, has hurt her in some particular way. He would have lied to her, cheated on her, mentally and emotionally abused her in some particular way or fashion, and because of this, she now has a very tough time trusting new men in her life because of what some other person did. That's happened a lot with me growing up. Even recently, it's actually, I'm not making this up for a video, this recently did happen to me. I was talking to a young lady, and she brings this up, man, and I'm sitting here, and so many thoughts and emotions flood me all at the same time. So much so that I decided I might have to make a video, because maybe I'm just the only one going through this. I don't think I am, but maybe I might be able to find some other people who've experienced something similar to this, because I actually think that it's kind of hilarious and sad all at the same time, right? Because here's the thing, growing up back in high school, I spent a lot of time in the friend zone, alright? Like, I was sealed within the friend zone, alright? Like, there's some ancient powerful jutsu or magic that just kept me. It was like I'm Dormammu and the friend zone is the dark dimension, okay? Like, I'm trapped, man. There's no way out. Okay, alright, being serious. So the point is, I've talked to lots of women in my lifetime. I guess relatively so, or maybe it's not a lot, I don't know. And this is a common thing that comes up with them a lot of the time, constantly, over and over and over and over again. Some guy, way back when, did whatever he did, and now all of a sudden it comes to me, and then I'm sitting here with all of these different kind of conflicted emotions. At first, it wasn't very conflicted, because I remember when I was a young man, I used to ask ladies what they liked, right? And this was before I realized that, like, they didn't fucking know what they wanted. Like, I took them serious. I took them at their word, because again, I didn't know that they didn't know what they wanted, right? This is my infancy, right? They would always tell me they just wanted some trustworthy guy who would care about them, you know, and keep them safe and just be their friend and be there for them. And of course, they didn't want that, because they did, they would have it. Case in point, lots of women who say they want that, you know, they are in those types of relationships, and now what I see constantly is that they're married, you know what I mean? They're not going from relationship to relationship because they said what they wanted and they got what they wanted. But the point is, like I said, I mean, with a lot of girls in high school, they would say this a lot, and at first, from my point of view, I always felt that, I mean, this is obvious and rather easy thing to do, easy thing to be. Like, be trustworthy and talk to her and be her friend. I'm like, I can do that. Like, that's not hard. It's my natural inclination anyway. You're not asking the impossible here. If anything, you're asking probably the bare minimum of what a relationship would entail. Now, of course, that's how I rationalized it, how I thought of it. But again, it took me a while to realize that a lot of these women, they did fucking know what they wanted. Like, intellectually, they could break down piece by piece, hey, I want this. But for the most part, would they go for that? No, of course not. Because, again, what they really wanted was to feel special, and how of which they felt special is in a myriad of ways I won't go into in today's video. Now, the point being is that whenever ladies said this to me, I always felt really conflicted by it. When they said that some Joe Schmo hurt me. When I was younger, I used to always feel like this immense pressure to try to prove myself as a good man. And see, the thing about this is, which I'll go into a little later, I think is really the birthplace of a lot of white knights. I'll get into that in a second. But I always felt this immense pressure among just, being a good person to date, or just among like being a good man to her, or a good boyfriend to her. I always felt like I had to do more. I had to try extra hard. I had to be more than what I was, because I had to make up for the mistakes of men that she knew in the past. And as the years went on, I began to realize just how absurd of a concept that really is, because I'm literally sitting here trying to battle the phantoms of this woman's mind, the phantoms of whatever ex-boyfriend she had, and trying to prove to her that she's wrong. And it was something that took me a while to realize that it's not even something that I could do. It wasn't even my job, really, honestly. I used to think that I had to be an extra special good guy to prove to her that she was wrong, and that she would date me after I proved that I was worthy for her, right? And of course, this, again, because these ghosts and these phantoms were a fabrication of her own mind, or a collection of her own mistakes, this was actually not a battle that I could ever win. It took me a while to realize that there's no way I could actually prove to this woman that I'm a good guy to date, because I would ipso facto have to be dating her to prove that she could trust me. Just in the offset, the whole chicken and the egg kind of thing. In order to prove that you'd be a good boyfriend to her, you'd have to be said good boyfriend and prove it consistently. And if she doesn't want to have a boyfriend because you can't trust guys to begin with, then there's just a huge barrier to entry just from the offset. So virtually it's just impossible to go about fixing that problem anyway if you're a man, because you can't date the woman because she doesn't trust you. But more importantly than that, you can't fix the problem because it's not your problem to fix. It's hers. Like, if she's the one that has a lack of ability to compartmentalize between me and some other guy just because we both have XY chromosomes, so you know what I mean, then that's not really a battle that I can win. It's her. She has to find the strength of mind or strength of character to realize that, look, man, not every guy is gonna do what your ex-boyfriend did, whatever he did. The hilarious thing about it is most of the time I didn't really know what these niggas did to these girls to hurt them in such a particular way, because the ladies would always be really vague about it and they'd never go into detail. So it's, again, now I'm fighting a battle with next to no information anyway. So the more I thought about it over the years, the more I began to realize that fuck that bullshit. The more frustrated I kind of got with it all, because I began to realize not only was it a huge barrier to entry, but I didn't realize, again, it wasn't my problem to solve anyway. As much as I like psychoanalysis of people, as much as I like helping people with their problems, I'm not a therapist, and I don't really want to be a therapist to my wife anyway, so I kind of want her to already be kind of mentally and emotionally okay. I don't really kind of want to have to come in there and solve her problems, to be honest with you. That's just me personally. The point is, as much as I like all this stuff, it's not my issue to solve. But again, the more I really thought about it, the more I realized, again, just kind of how frustrating and unfair it really is. And yeah, I know life's not fair. Someone's gonna come along and say, yeah, I know, but it's not gonna stop me from saying that the shit's unfair. It's not right. It's shitty. It's one thing to analyze a past relationship that you have, and then recognize patterns that some other person might exhibit, and then say, you know what, I'm going to be wary of this because you're doing the same thing the other person did. It's another thing, on the other hand, to stereotype someone offhand because of all the shitty choices you made and your selection process. The interesting thing I've oftentimes noticed with a lot of these girls, which they never did because they never thought about it, was there is usually a set pattern of men that they would date. If a lot of these girls, if I asked them about it, they never realized it. But with my ability to think logically and critically, I realized that a lot of the times they are picking the same caliber of person, just in a different skin suit, if you will. They look different, but their behavioral traits are all the same. Of course, everyone would refer to this as a type, because I think that's what the word means, a particular type of person. Some people might easily identify, chads, bad boys, and all that jazz, all that bullshit. It's not really the most descriptive thing, but just for sake of understanding. It is not necessarily that it's always like Chad type of person, which is why I don't like using the word. It's just the fact that there's a particular type of just shitty person in general. Like, you have like nerdy weasels, you know what I mean? Like, you have these really sycophantic men who are just kind of worms that will like use emotional manipulation and self-pity and groveling nature in order to manipulate women to doing things for them. Like that caliber of man. Like, he's not a Chad, he's not a bad boy, but he's an equally despicable human being, correct? You know, that's why I don't like, that's a brief explanation as why I don't like using the terms Chad, bad boy, all that, because you have these weasels who do that too. The point being is that, again, there's a particular caliber of men that a lot of these women will date, and they never realize that the pattern that they have created for themselves, and thus they get stuck in this perpetual loop until you finally get to, not me, because I'm not dealing with that shit anymore, but to some other guy. They finally get to an actual honorable man, and they can never accept him because of all of the past bullshit that has happened before. You know, I guess maybe this could be titled under a reason as to why dating doesn't work. The fact that all you do is you practice failure after failure after failure, and you never really learn how a successful relationship works because you only have failure in order to, you know, compare it to. So you only kind of get stuck in mediocrity because you've been grinded down into finally just accepting someone that's just kind of, okay. You know what I mean? Which, again, I might have to remake my video on does dating work or not, but it's just kind of a thought I'll leave you guys with. You know, so here's the thing. The third thing is I kind of got to a point, really when I became like an adult, where I just kind of got sick and tired of hearing this shit. And it got to a point where literally when a woman would say this to me, I'd lose my attraction to her. Like, it just kind of irked me to such an extent that I just kind of realized that literally there is no point in putting in any extra effort in trying to date you when one, you're not putting any extra effort in trying to date me. Like, you don't have any, like, a woman does not have any hurdle or emotional hurdle to come get over with me, because I don't judge women based on my past relationships. Well, I've only had like one girlfriend, but well, I mean, I don't know, my relations with women are a little bit more complex than that, but I don't judge them based on the past pain and hurt that I've had with women. You know, I usually kind of try to like to take people as individuals and see where their personalities lie and what's going on there, and if we jive or if I like them or not. So as a woman, I take her at who she is, you know what I mean? But even still, when she tells me that I can't trust guys because, or I don't like guys, or all guys are this, whenever she says that, I realize that, again, she is forcing me to face a battle that I cannot win because it is not my own. I can't prove to you that I'm not Tyrone. I can't prove to you that I'm not Jason, whoever this nigga did who cheated on you. Because, I mean, I know I'm not going to cheat on you because it's just not within my nature. Like, I know this, but you don't know that. And there's no way to prove that unless we date each other. So we have reached this impasse here. I mean, if the barrier to entry itself is this phantom that I can never defeat, then fuck I'm doing over here trying to prove to you I'm a better man than whoever this nigga was. I'm not doing that shit. I'm done. And that's how I feel about it now. I'm like, no, I can't be fucked to try to fight these phantoms of your past relationships because it's not my battle. It's not my fight. But then this kind of leads me to something else, because I was thinking about this too. Now, this is just me personally. I can't do that. Maybe some other guy out there can, but I cannot be fucked with trying to prove to a woman that I am a good man at this point anymore. Like, I'm not going to try to earn your trust because Jason cheated on you. I'm just not going to do it. Either you trust me or you don't. It is what it is, man. But then I started thinking about this. This is something I've never experienced personally, which you'll find out why when I explain it. But it is something I hear a lot, and it is something I see a lot that I just think is kind of really sad. And again, I might say unfair. And that is, I've noticed a lot, this happens with a lot of men, is that they'll marry women that are, for lack of a better word, used up. And by used up, I don't really necessarily mean like they're ugly, because that's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily that they become ugly women like in their 30s or whatnot, or they just kind of become beaten out. But kind of like worn down by a lot of the shitty decisions they've made. And that would include being single mothers, by the way. When I say single mothers, I don't mean like like your husband died, you know what I mean? Like you were married and your husband died, now you have 2 kids. I don't mean that. I mean, you know, you have 2 kids by 2 different dads, right? You know what I mean? Or you rode the slut carousel up into you're 25 and now you want to settle down. You have all these different emotional problems and issues that, were never addressed, and now you're bringing this into a relationship with a guy that is older and just kind of wants a woman to date or marry. And I've noticed that this happens with a lot of men, is that towards like the end of the late 20s, you know what I mean, up to the 30s and whatnot, a lot of men will get married to these women who are just kind of emotionally broke, just kind of fucked up, just in general, due to all of the shit that happened in their past. And the thing is that I seldom see anyone apart from like early day MGTOWs come to bat for these types of relationships, as in saying like, this is bullshit. This is absolute fucking bullshit. And the thing about it's not even just as far as sluts go, because sluts are a problem, yeah. Like, women who are very promiscuous are prone to, you know, not really be into the whole commitment thing. Usually, not always. But it's hard to trust, you know, a woman, you know, that got dick every other weekend would then all of a sudden want to stop and be with one guy. I mean, it's hard to trust that, and seldom doesn't happen. But the point that I'm really making is that, you know, as men, a lot of the time, as men who are not Chad or bad boys and all that, again, I don't like using those words, or alpha, I don't like using those words, but you know, you understand the point. As men who are not in that category of men that women will select when they're younger, they're oftentimes given the advice that they're supposed to wait until they're older to find an older woman that gets tired of this shit and finally wants to settle down. But this has always been some bullshit to me, because I don't see how on God's great green earth it seems reasonable, or dare I say fair, to a man to do what he is supposed to do. As far as he gets a good job, he tries to take care of himself, he becomes wise and intelligent and honorable, he becomes a good person, and what he has to do is, the reward for his honor is to find some broken down woman who is just tired of being treated like shit. Dare I say, I don't think the world should be that way. I know I'm just some nigga on the internet, but I don't think that it's reasonable or fair that this should be the advice given to men, that they, if you're not a bad boy or a thug or a chat or whatever, that you have to wait in order until women are done being used and pretty much done being passed around. You have to wait till they're just broken down as individuals. You have to wait till they break themselves down based on shitty relationships before you can finally pick one and marry her. This broken woman who is sad and upset with men never accepting responsibility for her own choices that got her there in the first place. You're supposed to marry a woman and take care of the children that her bastard children that some guy left to her. Again, I'm not talking about if a woman gets a divorce, or, well, actually, no, I am talking about that because that's a problem. But I'm not talking about women that, like, her husband dies. Like, if her husband died, that's totally different than if, you know, she broke up with her baby daddy and now you have to come in there and be a father to a kid you never even had anything to do with. Like, this does not seem to jive with me as the way the world should work, my friends, as something that we should even accept. And it is something that so many men accept, especially I've noticed lots of rich guys accept this stupid bullshit, like nerdy, fat rich guys, you know what I mean, who build their own company and they're just kind of passive. There's like been TV shows about this too, like where they'll even like go as far as to buy like mail order brides from Russia, you know what I mean, and they just get into these fucked relationships all because they're desperate. Now let's take it to an extreme that I'll probably talk about in the future, but the whole case in point is the fact that you spend your life trying to do well in life and trying to provide for yourself and be a good man, and the only women you have left to pick from are women who are just emotionally broken down because of she chose some shitty person and ended up hurting her. I don't know, man, it just doesn't seem right to me. It just doesn't seem like that should be the way the world works. It doesn't seem like we should accept this shit, you know what I mean? At least, I don't know, I'm kind of up to mind that I'm not accepting this bullshit from women anymore, honestly. If I meet a woman and at any point she tells me this whole I don't trust guys are this, guys are that, done, leave me alone, man. Like, I'm not going to entertain you anymore, because that's not a fight I can win. I know it's not a fight I can win, and it's not my battle. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm not going to be a shitty person in a relationship. You don't know that because all you've ever had are shitty relationships. And even if we were to date, and here's the true kicker, my friends, even if we were to date, it would never work. Not because I'm a shitty person, but because you don't know how to function in peace. A lot of women stay in dysfunctional relationships because that's all they know is dysfunction. The moment you give them peace, the moment you give them kindness and respect, it short-circuits their brains. They can't function in an environment in which you genuinely love them, so they try to create problems. And again, I have to say that that's not fair to the men. And I've noticed a lot of people really don't like to talk about how that shit is just not right to men. We will talk about men dogging out women till the fucking sun comes down. Women will talk all of the good, grade A shit about how all of their husbands have done them wrong, or their boyfriends have done them wrong, their baby daddies have done them wrong and don't respect. Now we'll talk about that from now until the end of time. But to find someone to say, listen, man, dating these emotionally broken women who have gotten to this point by their own actions is some old bullshit, is not a sentiment that I see a lot. And I think it should come up a lot more. I think a lot more men need to start respecting themselves and respecting their own peace of mind and saying that we fucking deserve better than this, man. We deserve fucking better than these scraps and the broken remains of these mentally fucked up women because of the shit that they did. And of course, I have to say this because someone's going to come. I don't think all women are like this, obviously so. So there you go. Here's a soundbite. It's not all women, and I know it's not all women, but it's common enough for me, or it has come up to me a lot, that maybe I have to reevaluate the type of women that I've been trying to date. And maybe I'm the problem here. Or maybe it is a general thing with women. I don't know. I have to reevaluate that. But I have seen that shit a lot, and honestly, I can't be fucked with anymore. So that being said, man, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you got something out of it. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. You should go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.